If there's one thing America does exceptionally well, it's that she disregards the middle path in exchange for two wild extremes. And in this video, I want to discuss optimism and pessimism. Now, pessimism is very clear to see, right? More and more people are becoming nihilistic, are becoming existentialist. They are recognizing that in the grand scheme of things, they may not matter. They are coming to believe that there's nothing they can do, right? The economy sucks. The stock market is completely out of reach. The housing market is something they will never climb onto. The job market is completely destroyed. There's nothing out there to be found. Having kids, unaffordable. Traveling, basically the only thing they can do, but if they do that, they will probably go into debt or at least be broke forever, right? More and more people are becoming pessimistic, and there's reason for them to be that way because when you look outside, well, just use your eyes. Things aren't necessarily getting better for the 99%. In fact, I'll make the claim that they're getting worse. Shocker, they're getting worse. What a concept. The 1% want to take from the 99. Not like we haven't seen this before. Go into the history books. It happens pretty frequently. But we can see the pessimism and we can understand where it's coming from, at least in American terms. But then on the other hand, you have optimism. And in the optimistic camp, you have a lot of people who are toxically positive. People who are so abstract and metaphysical that their words have no bearing on reality. They tell you to think better thoughts. They tell you to imagine a better future where you're laying on a white beach and you have a margarita and you're eating a watermelon or guava or pineapple and you have this beautiful woman next to you or you have this supermodel guy next to you, some Henry Cavill figure, and you're just laying there enjoying the life because you're making laptop money. All because you thought better thoughts, you made a vision board, you posted it up in your bedroom and you stared at it for hours. That's what they tell you to do. Now, look, their advice isn't necessarily totally bad, but they're very tone deaf because they don't understand, A, how privileged they are, because 99.9% of these people, if not all of them, are coming from a position of ridiculous privilege. They came from a good upbringing. They went to a good school. They had money. They had connections. They had resources. They got lucky. They did XYZ that other people couldn't have done because they didn't have XYZ, right? These are the people. Now, of course, I'm painting with a broad brush. If there are specific circumstances, they certainly are out there. But generally speaking, the people who are toxically positive, they are toxically positive because they know nothing else, because they've never been exposed to anything else. It's like the Buddha before he became the Buddha. All he knew was perfection until he saw a sick man, until he saw a dying man, until he saw poverty and starvation and fucking depravity. Then he realized, oh, wait a minute, life kind of sucks. So where am I getting at here? What am I getting at with this? Well, that, again, America is incredibly good at disregarding the middle path, the Tao, whichever way you pronounce it. I'm still not even sure which one it is, the Tao or the Tao. I think it's both. I'm not sure. But in any case, the middle path, the path that splits between the two extremes, America hates it, doesn't want to walk it. America instead wants to walk the extreme paths. Incredible optimism or incredible pessimism. You have toxic positivity. You have this grandiosity. I'm going to take over Wall Street. I'm going to be a big time trader. I'm going to beat all the hedge funds. I'm going to be a huge drop shipper or an influencer, or I'm going to build this huge brand. I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be awesome. I'm going to be posted up with the hose. I'm going to be in the club. I'm going to be that fucking guy. That's America. And then on the other hand, you have the America that's using fentanyl, popping pills, drinking, gambling all their savings away. They're getting divorced. They're really, really, really depressed. They're in bad shape. Super nihilistic, super existentialist, and not in the good way. Because if you read the philosophy, there's a lot of good in there, just not being used by this side of America. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can recognize that, first and foremost, optimism is a double-edged sword. Because I believe that it's best for you to adopt an optimistic mindset because it gives you power. If you can change your mind, you can spur actions in your life. You can spur yourself to take actions to make new changes that can change things for you, that can make your life better. A better mindset can do that for you. But on the other hand, when you're too toxically positive, you forget that most of the world isn't in your position. Most of the world doesn't have what you have. Most of the world hasn't been blessed with what you have. I have to remind myself of this all the time, that I was blessed. I grew up in a great neighborhood. I told my parents whenever I was young, we live in the safest neighborhood on planet Earth. And maybe it was hyperbole, but I don't think it was. Because there was nothing that went on there but sunshine, rainbows, and a good old lemonade stand. It was great. Now, we weren't rich. We weren't really even middle class. We were lower middle class, maybe upper poor in terms of income, but we lived in a great spot. That was fantastic. And I grew up with two parents, incredibly blessed. That's far more important than money. I recognize that more and more every single day. But on the toxic positivity side, people don't recognize how blessed they are. Again, though it's useful to be positive, if you're toxically positive, you forget that the rest of the world has problems and that things are difficult for a lot of people and that your circumstances are not everyone else's. There's a double-edged sword there. While on the other hand, pessimism has its own double-edged sword, right? Because it's not something that you would want to adopt. You don't want to be pessimistic because it's not a valuable mindset. It's not going to spur new action in you. If you believe that everything is hopeless, if you internalize that deeply, you're not going to go out and make changes. You're not going to go out and meet new people. You're not going to start that business. You're not going to travel. You're not going to do damn anything. You're not going to do anything. And so it's not a useful belief to be pessimistic, but it is true. It's factually correct that the world is not going in a good place, at least in many realms, right? AI might take over all the jobs. Who knows? Maybe we get a Terminator situation. That wouldn't be too hot, right? Global warming, not sure how serious it is, but it looks like there might be some credence to it. And if it's real, well, looks like Miami's underwater. Looks like the UK's underwater. Maybe that's for the best. I don't know. I'm not God. I don't have omniscience. I can't see everything. I don't know how the future is going to unfurl. So that kind of sucks. Housing market, unattainable. Population decline, it's coming fast. Debt, out of control. Social tensions, very high. Divisions, running deeper. Things not so good. Things not so good. Factually true on the ground, things not good. Right? So it's factually true that things are getting worse in many respects, but it's unhelpful to believe that things are going to get worse. Right? This is the double-edged sword. This is the dynamic here. So what do we do in order to walk this middle path, the path that America doesn't want to walk? Well, I believe that you adopt the optimistic mindset. You adopt the belief that things are going to be better for you, that you have the capacity to improve your life, that you're going to get lucky. Perhaps you'll get fortunate. Perhaps something will come along your path that really helps you out, that maybe you didn't even deserve. This is the mindset that I adopt, that I've had, that I cultivate every single day because it's helpful. Is it true? Probably not. But it can become true through a loop that I create. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, your mindset. So that's what I adopt, while recognizing that I can't be grandiose. And in order to do that, I remember that factually things are getting worse. Things are becoming more dire. The situation is becoming more bleak, that more people are struggling, that problems are mounting, and that nobody seems to have real solutions to them. You balance these two things, and this will keep you grounded while also keeping you in a position of power, a position where you can maneuver, a position where you can go in and out, you can duck and dodge, you can weave and bob. That's what you want to do. That's how you can navigate what I believe is the most pivotal time in human history, because quite frankly, in 20, 30 years, maybe less, I don't know if we're human anymore. In fact, you can make the argument, I believe, that we're not even human now, at least not in the traditional sense, that we've already become a different species, at least in comparison to our ancestors, from even 100 or 200 years ago. But really, if you take it back 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, and especially if you take it back 20, 30, 40, 50, even 100,000 years, I don't even think we're the same species anymore. And in 20, 30 years, we may very well not be at all. So with that, I say, if you gained value out of this, subscribe to the page. If you have any questions, drop them down below. And if you have any comments on what you're seeing outside, drop those below as well. I'll see you in the next one. Much love. Peace. This is New Da Vinci. Have a blessed day.